Hello, grade 12. Previously, we have learned how to prepare and write the introduction of your research paper. Have you started working on the introduction? Good job! This time, you will be learning one of the foundations of your study, which is the literature review. With so much information available, searching and locating good literature on your topic can be pretty challenging. That is why this lecture aims to help you achieve the following objectives. First, comprehensively select, cite, and synthesize related literature. Next, use sources of data according to ethical standards, at least 4 to 6 local and international sources. Lastly, prepare a critically reviewed related literature. What is an RRL? RRL stands for Review of Related Literature. It is a detailed review of existing literature related to the topic of a research paper. Its purpose is to orient the readers about the concepts, ideas, theories, or other reading materials in the past that are relevant to your study. If you find gaps or existing conflicts in the literature, you can also discuss these in your review and, if applicable, how you plan to address these gaps or resolve these conflicts through your study. But let me ask you this question. How would you begin in conducting literature review? Well, let me give you some guidelines. First, identify and list down the key terms to use in search for related literature. Begin your search of the related literature by narrowing your topic to a few key terms using 1 or 2 words or short phrases. Next, locate literature by consulting several types of materials in databases, including those available at an academic library and on the internet, which means you can now begin the actual search for relevant literature. You may access the internet and explore electronic literature available on your topic, but do not ever depend on the Google. You may use academic libraries, both primary and secondary sources, encyclopedia, and etc. Third, critically evaluate and select the literature. Determine if the literature found is good and relevant to your study. Fourth, organize the literature you have selected by abstracting or taking notes on the literature and developing it in a visual diagram if it is desired by researchers. And lastly, write a literature review that reports summaries of the literature for inclusion in your research report. There are 4 parts of RRL that must be seen and read in your paper, starting with the topic sentence, which expresses what the paragraph is about. It answers the question, what is the most important idea that you want your readers to take away from this paragraph? The topic sentence usually goes at the very start of a paragraph, but sometimes it could come later to indicate a change of direction in the paragraph's argument. After the topic sentence, you expand on the point with evidence and examples, and that is the supporting RRL. Your interpretations must be backed up with evidence that can support your argument, deeply embedded assumption, or philosophical problem that has been already established in the literature. It must address the question, how can you prove that your claim or idea is true? If we have supporting RRL, we must as well include contradicting RRL. As you are searching for the relevant information related to your topic, you cannot escape coming across controversial evidence to your subject. Do not ever neglect it. Your primary aim is to demonstrate that supporting evidence prevails over the controversial. Lastly is the synthesis or conclusion. Summarize and synthesize your sources within each paragraph as well as throughout the review. Recapitulate important features of a research study, but then synthesize it by rephrasing the study's significance and relating it to their own work. But where will you place all these references you used? Every research paper must have a list of references. A reference list shows all the sources that you have used in your research paper. There are three purposes in providing a reference list. First, to give credit to authors. Next, to acknowledge the researchers that you have done. And most importantly, to avoid plagiarism. In any research paper, it is extremely important to have a reference page. This is the last page of your paper that has been written in APA style. Do you have an idea about APA style? APA style, or American Psychological Association, was developed by social and behavioral scientists to standardize scientific writing. It is a set of rules for how you credit sources by writing citations and references. APA style is used for term papers, research reports, empirical studies, literature reviews, theoretical articles, methodological articles, and even in case studies. There are two ways to credit sources. First, in-text citations, which was taught to us last semester, and the second one is the references, which should be written in an alphabetical order at the end of a paper. What are the basic rules in writing references using APA style? Basic rule number 1. All lines after the first line of each entry in your reference list should be indented 1/2 inch from the left margin. This is called the hanging indentation. You may use this photo as a guide. The second basic rule is authors' names are inverted, which means it should start with their last name. Give the last name and initials for all authors of a work for up to and including 7 authors. Example: if the work has more than 7 authors, list the first 6 authors and then use ellipses after the 6 author's name. After the ellipsis, list the last author's name of the work. Example: here is the ellipsis, and here is the last author's name. More basic rules. Reference list entries should be alphabetized by the last name of the first author of each work. For multiple articles by the same author or authors listed in the same order, list the entries in chronological order from the earliest to the most recent. Present the journal title in full. Maintain the punctuation and capitalization used by the journal in its title. Capitalize all major words in journal titles. Academic journal titles have all major words capitalized, while other sources' titles do not have. When referring to the titles of books, chapters, articles, or web pages, you must capitalize only the first letter of the first word of the title and subtitle, the first word after a colon or a dash in the title, and proper nouns. Italicize titles of longer works such as books and journals. Do not italicize, underline, or put quotes around the titles of shorter works such as journal articles or essays in edited collections. If a reference has no author, it is cited by title and included in the alphabetical list using the first significant word of the title. References should not be numbered. If there is no date, use the abbreviation ND, which means no date. Another presentation will be allotted for the continuation of the discussion. Have a good day, people.
Happy learning at home with lessons made easy by Olivarian GoTeach. One proud Olivarian.